on by Oxlade-Chamberlain. Here's Mohamed Salah. So it's another stunning moment. 7 for Liverpool.
Maybe a big 5 minutes or so in front for Leeds here because they're defending again. Oh, it's a second goal and it's McTominay again who's been played in. This is a quite terrible start.
Hello people, I'm David.
I'm Travis, and we bring you the latest,
Biased
honest
opinions on football news
reviews
and previews.
in football today. You're watching
The Goal Post. Welcome back, guys. It's been a hot minute since we've recorded a video, almost a month, but we have with us again favorite guests. I mean, the only guest on the show, AFROZ REHMAN. Welcome to the show, man. And well, this month has been a busy month, full of fixtures and match weeks, and there was finally a break for Christmas, so we thought it was an apt situation and an apt opportunity to make another video and just give an overview of how things are looking and how they stand as of right now. We've seen big turnarounds, big transitions, and big monumental leaps in various teams, either for the good or for the worse. So let's just get into this. First thing we want to talk about, I think, is that crazy result at Old Trafford, 6-2 hammering. Yeah, how the hell did that happen? Leeds looked at the start of the season looked like one of the teams to challenge every top team and give them a run for their money. And for at least the first half of this half of the season, they did that at Liverpool, at most teams, even at Chelsea. Chelsea struggled quite a bit, but United, Scott McTominay, under 2 minutes, he scored 2 goals. It is absolutely insane. How did that happen? Because United have not looked the best. You know, they had a bad run of games since beating Leipzig 5-0, but they have surprisingly they've come into their own and found their form.
So the thing is, like, if you look at Leeds United, when you play in the championship, you play with the gusto and the style that they play with, there's very rarely a chance that you're going to lose a game like that. Because, like, you're on the front foot and you're, like, putting pressure on teams. But then as soon as you make that leap to the first division, that's the Premier League, we all know how competitive that is. Like, a team like Leicester won the Premier League, which came out of nowhere as a shock to everyone. So you can just imagine how competitive it is. And when you come into a league like that and you try to play on the front foot, you're going to have teams around you who want to defend first and then attack as, you know, a secondary thing. You'd rather guarantee yourself the 1 point than go for the 3 points. That's how many teams have stayed in the Premier League and built on their success. So-called success is staying up. But when you go to Leeds United, like, I applaud them for their tactics and the way they come out, you know, the way they played. It was exciting to watch because, like, each time it was like, okay, we are going towards goal. We're not going to pass sideways and, like, you know, find our way from there. Like, when you do that against, let's say you do that against any of the 7th place teams, so like the 12th place teams, you might, like, catch them off guard because, like, they won't have that much quality in their ranks. But then when you start playing against teams that are almost getting their stuff together, they're getting their teams together, their tactics together, and you come against quality of opposition like United, like, there's no doubting how much of quality we have in the United squad. Each and every player in there is gifted to an ability, and they do their job really well. It's consistency that's been a problem more than anything else. So when you come against an opposition like United, and if you take them for granted that, you know what, they will concede 10 goals, which we probably could have. But if you take that for granted and don't take into consideration that they will also score more than 10 goals when you play with that approach, you will get punished for that. And that's exactly what we saw at Old Trafford against Leeds United. Because you look at the scoreline, it ended 6-2. But even as the manager said at the end of in the conference, it could have ended 12-4.
12-4, yeah.
With, you know, the scores being doubled. And let's say, like, even if Leeds play Chelsea now, like, you've had results going in Leeds' favor in the past, where they even played 4-3 against Liverpool on the first match day. And the thing was, I don't think Liverpool were fully convinced or even, confident enough going into the game. And Leeds took them by surprise. But like when you have played so many games as you have, I think we're in match day 16 or 17. I'm not sure. That has passed so far.
We finished
When
15.
you
Yeah.
when going into 16 now, when you've played so
Yeah.
many games, teams around you who who have like quality and who have quality managers will learn and they will adapt to your tactics, and that's exactly what Ole did. Now, if Chelsea were to play Leeds, I'm pretty sure they will do exactly what we did to them, because Chelsea are not short on attack, and we all know that they have one of the most exciting lineups in Europe, I would say.
Yeah. Chelsea
And
played Leeds, I think 2 weeks ago, and we won that 3-1.
exactly, and that could have been high scoring as well,
Yeah.
because at the end of it, it like comes down to form. But with United, going into the game, uh, being a United fan over the years, I don't take anything for granted. But going into the game, I had a feeling it could be a Leipzig again, where they will have chances to score, but they will also leave themselves open on the counter, or even open just like that, where we will take advantage of it. So I wasn't surprised with the scoreline, and it was definitely a fun game to watch. But it's almost as if Leeds handed us that win, It's not like we didn't earn it, that we didn't work hard for it, but it's just that if it was a Liverpool or a Man City, it would have ended either as a draw, which is much more likelier, or as a 2-1 result, or even a 1-0. It's just that when you leave yourself open and you play such attractive attacking football, you leave yourself open on the counter, and that's exactly what we saw. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it didn't come as a surprise.
Yeah. I think no matter what the result is, I think Leeds promise one thing and one thing only: a goal fest. They promise a
Yeah,
goal
that's
fest with
true. That's
every
true.
game, and they deliver on that promise every single time. And I respect them for that. I respect Bielsa for his tactics, his mindset in the team, and the way they attack is one of
Yeah,
the
it's
craziest
phenomenal.
teams. It's crazy to watch them. Their passing patterns are absolutely unique and very very smooth. They've been working on those passing patterns for months and possibly years. That team has grown together, and they're I think in the first half of this season, they've taken every team by surprise. And
True,
I,
true.
I I think a lot of fans were very excited, especially Leeds fans were excited about their introduction to the league. But I think one thing I think I told Travis as well was, once teams start to figure them out and figure out their passing patterns, because they are patterns, and you can obviously break through those patterns. I
True, true.
think
Yeah.
United did that extremely well. I think they caught them out immediately and rattled them, because they didn't look like the Leeds that we've been seeing for the past, I don't know how many months
So,
now.
I've read this somewhere where apparently the reason that Pep Guardiola and a bunch of other really uh, esteemed managers look up to Bielsa and praise him so much is because of his understanding of the game. And apparently, he has he knows every type of pass that can be played, every type of cross that can be played, every type of shot that can be taken, and he trains and coaches his players in that exact way. And when he's building his tactics of like this is how you want to attack, whether it's from the wide areas or from center, he tells his players like you will play a pass on the side of your foot, you will play it like this, and you will play it to that player in front of that player by that much. And that's really fascinating to hear. But like his players are at the end of the day humans, and they're going to make mistakes. And it just so happened that in Leeds case, not only did Bamford miss three chances, I think.
Yeah.
On top of that, it's just that they were unlucky and we were really, really lucky. I'm not
Yeah.
taking anything away from either of the teams. They both played well, no doubt. But at the end of the day, when you come to a league like a Premier League, it's always good to say that, like we played with our front foot and we played really good football. But what is that going to win you? The perfect example of that is Portugal in the 2016 Euros, I think.
Mm.
I don't think they scored a single goal in the 90 minutes right till the quarterfinals, I think. And they won the entire competition, and they won it on penalties, like on like most of their games, because like they were drawing. It was a 0-0. And even if they did score, they would score after the 90 minutes. But like, and they weren't playing the most beautiful football out there, but they still got results. And at the end of the day, it's winning trophies that matters. Like Mourinho says, he doesn't care what you think about his football. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But like, he gets results at the end of the day, and that's exactly what he's doing with Spurs. They're not playing the most beautiful football, but like when they do attack, they do it with a purpose. And when they go ahead, 9 out of 10 times they will score because of the quality they have.
Yeah,
So
I think Spurs have really, I mean, they looked like title contenders at least till last week before they had the bad
yeah,
run of games. I think that, and that's typical Mourinho. I think that's the Mourinho we've grown to know and love, and the tactics
yeah,
we've associated with him and his identity. But I've really been impressed with two players from that squad, and that's Harry Kane and Son. Heung-min Son, both of them, the partnership that is growing between them, and
yeah.
the new role I think Harry Kane has adopted as a number nine. It's never been seen in the Premier League almost like that deep. He's right behind the defense
He
at
drops deep,
sometimes.
yeah.
He's right behind. He's like playing at
So
a defensive mid position almost for quite a lot of the game. So that's super interesting to watch. But I think that's costing them a lot attacking wise. I mean, the amount of the volume of attacks they could produce, and I think that's where they need Bale and someone like Bale.
um, when you look at Tottenham and you look at how tactically adept teams want to be, and not wanting to get pulled out of position, the best players that can possibly work in such systems is players who play between the lines. And in Harry Kane, when he plays as a number nine, he drops deep, and he generally tends to, given the amount of quality the player has, where he can literally shoot from anywhere and score. You have to be wary of that, and in doing so, players do get pulled out of position, leaving gaps in. And that's what's been successful for them, because for them it's more about creating spaces and running straight towards goal, where Harry Kane pulls deep and either Son or Bergwijn like run beyond him, and he puts the pass off because he's really good at playmaking as well. But in the recent match that they lost, in the post-match, in like the post-match review that you have with the Premier League that happens, you had Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank saying that he doesn't care that Harry Kane's so good at deep playmaking because you're the number nine of the team, you're the striker, and you give Harry Kane two chances, he will score one of them. It's as simple as that. He's that good a finisher. He's that lethal. So like he needs to stay up and he needs to be getting the balls instead of giving it to Son, who's just as talented and able, but he's not at the same level of finishing as Harry Kane is. There's no doubt about that. Harry Kane is the person who is being touted as possibly breaking Wayne Rooney's England record, which at 51 goals is still a lot for international goals. But you don't just get praised like that for no reason.
I was want I wanted to ask you one question. Are Tottenham have Tottenham crashed out of the title race this season?
Um, I would love to say that because then that obviously gives us United a bigger chance.
Yeah.
But if I was to look at it pragmatically and honestly, then I would say that the title race isn't done and dusted yet. You can't count anyone out because the way that the results have gone for certain teams this year is the most random Premier League season ever. Because like teams that you did not expect to win have won, teams that you did not expect to lose have lost, and a prime example of that has been City. City and Liverpool were considered title contenders even before the season started, and it was obvious for all to see why. But City have just not hit the ground running. They've had issues defensively. They've had issues like up front with Aguero injured, Jesus not really filling his boots, and for that exact reason they've fallen off. And you still can't count them out though, because like you just need see the way the table currently stands. You have Liverpool on top, you have Leicester second, and then you have United third with Everton and Chelsea. And United have a game in hand, and we're 2 points off. If we win that game in hand, we're 2 points off Liverpool. Now that would technically put us place us second in the league, but for us to win the league, we will need Liverpool to drop points, and that would put us on top. And it's not an unlikely situation. And in that way, every other team on top of Tottenham can drop points in games like the 7-2 that Aston Villa. Was it 7-2 or was it 7-1
Seven
that Aston
seven
Villa
two,
crashed
yeah.
Liverpool?
7-2, yeah.
7-2.
Hmm.
So like games like that will probably not happen. But what I'm trying to say is like Liverpool can take an L sometime. United can take an L sometime. Everton can take an L, and so can Chelsea. And it just comes down to how consistently good and confident the teams are in themselves. And given that they're a Mourinho team, I don't think that you can count them out yet, because Mourinho is the kind of manager we've seen wherever he's gone, he's won trophies. And the kind of manager he is, he will not expect anything else from his players than to go week in, week out and perform and not leave anything out. You have to bring everything you have to the pitch. So no, you cannot consider Tottenham out yet. You need the end of Christmas with all the fixtures that are lining up. You need all of that to pass to truly start getting a clearer picture of who could possibly contend for the title. And
Yeah,
in my opinion, Tottenham are still in it.
yeah. I think that's that makes sense. Uh, talking about going back to Liverpool, because Liverpool have suddenly found their form, and not like they weren't playing well or anything, but they were struggling to finish games off. They had a lot of injuries. The entire back four was injured at a point. I remember during the international break, and um, the volume of games these players are playing, at least 3 times a week with the UCL and everything. Um,
Yeah.
but now, speaking from the point of view of the last game, the match week, they won 7-0 uh, at and they beat Crystal Palace. So
Yeah.
I think now they have a bunch of. I think Thiago has started training with the squad now again. They have a bunch of players.
Klopp joked about him being a new January signing. So
Yeah, but now they have their players coming back. They have their squad playing a bit better now. They found their form. They found their character. We've seen how important their bench is to this form that they're in. Diego Jota. You have uh, who else is that? Minamino has been playing quite well. They
Minamino
actually,
was filled in.
yeah, so they've all been putting in shifts, and I think this is probably the best form in this season that they have found. Do you think that they are going to run away with the title again, or is it still
Um,
less an open race? I know, like,
see,
we all expect them that they need to drop points, but with the way that the projection, what do you think the projection is going to be like?
um, this pains me to say it, but it does look like Liverpool might win the league yet again,
Yeah, that's
because
yeah,
it's no surprise to anyone just how good that squad is, and they've been so consistent for like 3 to 4 seasons now, and it's mainly because Klopp has had his time with the squad and been able to impose his mentality and his style of play on the team. And one thing that you can't take away from Liverpool is that they play as a team. They're one unit, all of them together. So in doing that, even if one player makes a mistake, which does sometimes prove to be costly, the other players playing as a unit always make up for it. And Liverpool are a machine that are not going to stop working as smoothly as they are for a while now. And I don't expect it to end anytime soon. Mainly because it's more about the quality they have throughout the squad. And there was a time where you could say that City's bench could play any of the Premier League teams and beat them. Not even thinking about considering their first team. But at the end of the day, let's compare Liverpool and City squad. On paper, City beats Liverpool squad by a mile, because the complete depth and the quality they have throughout their squad. But when you look at the table, who's on top? It's Liverpool, and it's not coming down to the quality of the player, or on paper, like you have a Kevin De Bruyne or the star earlier. It's more about the consistency that they put in, and the fact that Liverpool are able to grind out results in spite of even being down sometimes and coming back from it, and the way they stamp authority in the game of never giving up. That's going to take them a long way. And the only way I see them dropping points, I don't think another, you know, uh, a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think another upset like the Aston Villa game is going to happen to Liverpool this season. The only way they would probably lose is if one of the title contenders outplays them. And that has to be either, I don't consider Leicester to be title contenders, honestly, because they're one injury away from being back out of the top four like last season. The only way I see Liverpool dropping points are if Everton, United, Chelsea, or City beat them. and in doing that, the race will be quite open. But then, as I said, Liverpool are the most consistent of all the 20 teams in the league, and I think that's what's going to drive them through the finish line. I hate to
Yeah.
say it, but it could very well be another season for the Reds.
Yeah, at the start of the season, I thought City would drive home this year, and I think I was pleasantly surprised because I thought Liverpool would be fatigued. They would be, they won't have the same drive and the same hunger and motivation that we saw for the past 3 years. They reached very close to UCL, reached the finals and lost to Madrid. The next
Yeah,
year, the same year, they lost to City by a few points,
yeah,
and then they came back. They won the Premier League, they won the UCL, and they won the Super Cup.
they won,
So
yeah, they won the treble.
absolutely insane. I didn't think that they could go any further than that. And then they bought in Thiago, they bought in Jota, they brought in a few,
They bought in Minamino as well.
Minamino. They brought in a bit of depth to the squad, and we didn't think they had much of a quality except Thiago. We know he's a serial winner, but we didn't think
Yeah,
that that was going to revolutionize the squad and rejuvenate it to bring in the same motivation that we've been
yeah.
seeing. But I think we've all been pleasantly surprised with the form that they're in, the consistency they've shown despite having lost a lot of key players. They didn't have Henderson for a while. They didn't have Arnold for a while. Robertson was out for
Robertson,
a brief moment,
even
and
Joe
Van Dijk is
Gomez,
still
Allison.
out. Allison was out for the shoulder injury. Joe Gomez is obviously out with the rib injury. So they've been dealing with their own problems, and a lot of teams have been claiming, like, Lampard for Chelsea has been talking about injuries, and obviously that is
Yeah,
a problem, and that's a serious problem because Chelsea haven't they played one game with their first team fully fit in this entire season. So that is definitely a problem, but it's not an excuse. And I
every
don't
team has to go through it. So
yeah, every team has to go through it. And I think uh, you think you mentioned this earlier that Klopp has had time with this team, and I think, do you think that that is the model for all boards and all clubs to look at and say, okay, fine, look at Klopp and look at the amount of money invested into that team, and not only money, look at the time invested into that team and the result of that. There's a progressive result. Reaching finals of the UCL, reaching second in the table, and then winning the league and winning the UCL. And so there's like a progress. So do you think
yeah,
like clubs like Chelsea, who have known to sack managers when times get bad. United, it looked like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was going to be sacked, but United somehow managed to get results whenever that happens. Somehow, I have no
he turned
idea
into
how y'all
Fran
do.
Barcelona when his job's on the line.
Absolutely insane. I have no idea how y'all do it. I think it's Bruno, man. I think. Oh, talking about Bruno, in 19 games, 18 goal contributions. That's insane. Do you think?
Uh, Hold on there. I would answer your previous question that you asked me. In terms of of teams backing their manager and seeing a long-term plan, I definitely think that's the right way to go ahead because Chelsea have had a lot of success in the past couple of years of bringing in new managers and probably winning the league in the first season itself. And that's like on paper looks really good because then you're like, okay, it's working. You're winning the league, you're winning titles. What more can a club ask for a board? But then it can't be sustained for long. And in terms of football, you look at Arsenal. For the longest time ever, they were with Arsene Wenger, and there came a point where they should have let go of him earlier than they did because it reached a point where the team was only going to get worse from there. The players stopped playing for the manager, the fans turned on the club, and we had open protests during games, which is like probably the worst thing a player could go through when you're playing for a club. But if they had let go of Arsene Wenger a little earlier and probably, just taken his help and, uh, hiring another manager in his place and take a step forward in his vision, but with obviously a more positive view approach to it, they will probably be in a better position than they are in currently. And even with Unai Emery, they were in a better position with more points than they are with Arteta right now. And the thing is, when you compare Arteta, Klopp, Solskjaer, and Lampard, Klopp has had the most time with his team. But the reason he's had that much time is not only because he packed a good CV when he was brought in, and he was brought in with, the guarantee that you're going to get time. he's also delivered. He's also like brought the team and made them bet. The team that he got and the team he has right now have you can literally see how they've gotten better each season. And at the end of the day, the board and the club owners need to be that knowledgeable and intelligible to know that there is progress being made. If, let's say, you appoint a manager and you tell him, okay, this is your team to mold as you want, and then you don't back him, it's not the manager's fault. The manager's telling you what you want. That's exactly what happened to Mourinho at United. Board didn't back him. With Klopp, he's been backed by his club. He's been backed by the board. He's gotten the players he's wanted. When he knows the club is getting fleeced for money, he doesn't go in. He's not desperate. That shows that he has a more he has a view towards the future in a way. Like he has his plan A, plan B, and probably his plan C. And along with that, with the confidence the board has shown in him, he can go ahead and be like, even if I get a bad result today, I'm not going to get sacked tomorrow. I can continue to preach my way of football because I know in the longer run it will get results. And for as much as people speak about, uh, you know, Ole out, Arteta out, let's not talk about Arteta. They're in a really bad position right now. You
Yeah.
can't really compare these managers. Talk about Ole out, Lampard out. The thing is, these managers have come in, they've had mediocre squads, and they've done so well already. And you can't take that away from them. Just imagine if they do get their good piece, they get the peace of mind, they get enough ample time, and they get the signings they want, just how much better the squads can get. And even after that, if you see them not performing, then you can be like, you know what, maybe it's time for a change. But it's way too early to be calling quits on their careers at the current clubs right now. And club owners and boards should definitely back the managers more. That's something that has to happen in football because it's the only way you'll have longevity, and you'll have sustainability in the squad. So it has to happen.
Yeah. I think I agree with the fact that Ole and Lampard have definitely come in and improved their squads in their own way, and it's different ways, but I think it's improvement nonetheless. And I think we're seeing those results come out now with United with that crazy win against Leeds, and Chelsea had that 17 game unbeaten run, which was
Yeah,
quite
that's quite
impressive.
impressive. Yeah,
So to I mean, most of the games we played against the lower half of the table, but it's still the Premier League, and you can never take a team for granted. So I think the point I'm coming to is that I think we can easily pick out a number of players in each squad and say that there has been improvement. And so I think this model of giving the manager time to implement his philosophy, but also looking at it from, okay, is this coming to a natural end, or is it just because of few bad results like what
yeah,
Arteta is going through right now? So I think that's definitely a model that should be implemented more by teams in the Premier League, especially teams in a higher status in the world. Um, but coming back to Bruno, which I was talking about earlier, and do you think he's the best midfielder in the world right now? I mean, his stats definitely show for it. I mean, he's got played 13 games this season, 9 goals, 5 assists, 6 matches in the UCL, and had 4 goals. Insane stats. 18 contributions in 19 games, which
19
is
games.
unbelievable. Best midfielder in the world right now.
Current form, yeah, definitely, because I don't see any other midfielder out there performing or outperforming him in any matter. A lot of people will be like, yo, most of those goals are penalties, but that's the thing with penalties. You don't get awarded penalties for anything. Many people watching the Premier League this season beg to differ, but on the face of it, you don't get awarded penalties for no reason. You have to put in certain effort, and something has to be expended, and some energy and action has to be done for you to be awarded the penalty. You're not being given the penalty for free. So it is basically a goal scoring opportunity that's been denied to you. And as a way of, repaying you for that, you get a 50-50 chance of scoring with the penalty kick. On top of that, penalty kick because like it's really no, it's nerve shaking or whatever you want to call it.
Nerve wracking.
It's nerve wracking. That's the word I was
Yeah,
looking for.
yeah,
It's quite nerve wracking to take a penalty because Right now, you don't have fans in the stadium, but you can imagine when you do have fans and you have fans cheering you on, but at the same time, like just like ridiculing you and trying to like put you off your game. You can imagine how much more nerve-wracking it becomes. And penalties should not be frowned upon. Like they're just as equal to the game as open play goals. Open play goals do require more effort, but the only reason the open play goals are because they haven't been stopped in the penalty or from wherever they were being taken. Um, with regards to Bruno, you could very well say that it's it's because the other teams around aren't performing because of the situation, the no preseason, blah blah blah. But it's not like Bruno's not had to do the same thing. He's had to go through the same thing. He's played probably every game for United, and the games that he hasn't started, he's been forced to come on, and he's performed even then. And that just speaks to the character of the player and the confidence he has in his abilities. And the thing is, if you take Bruno Fernandes out of the United squad, United once again began to look very, they look like there's something off about them. They still need that final piece, which we still do with Bruno in the squad. But having Bruno Fernandes in your squad just adds so much more flair and creativity and just breathes more life into the players. Like when Pogba was playing on the pitch, like last season, we saw so many through balls, lofted through balls that he was playing from his own half, which Rashford was latching on to at the other end. When you have players like a Fred or a McTominay in the back, and when they have the ball, you're not going to make that 60-yard run knowing that they're going to find you. You're going to make that run when Bruno or Pogba have the ball. And Bruno has shown us week in, week out through his performances that he is that good of a player. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And that's kind of good, because the moment you have players like Bruno Fernandes playing football and enjoying themselves, you're inspiring a whole new generation of people and footballers around them to take inspiration from them and try to replicate that. Because given how tactical the game has become of late, players like Neymar, flair players, they're dying out. Everyone's become more like you keep the ball, you pass it, you do not let go of the ball. No risk taking. And that's killing the game, honestly. And in having players who play with flair, with their heart on their sleeves, you're creating that very feeling in millions of fans, what addicts them to the game in the first place. Making something out of nothing at all. And players like Bruno Fernandes, like obviously there's a very huge bias that you can see that's happening in this dialect right now.
Yeah,
But
I can see it's fine. I mean, I agree that he's I definitely agree he's one of the best midfielders in the world, right? If not the best right now. I think that he's become one of the most integral pieces to this United squad for sure. And
yeah,
yeah, I think definitely United have become part of this title race after a shaky start, but they're looking good now. I think a lot of teams are looking good now. Some of the mid-table teams are starting to play a bit better. Leicester's playing better. Everton have found their form again. Chelsea just won their game after two consecutive losses. Liverpool are obviously playing well. Uh, so I think it's definitely an open race, and we should be back next week with more updates about what's going on in the Premier League and how the table looks, who are the title contenders, and yeah. See you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and share with your friends. Comment down below who do you think are your favorites to win the Premier League this season. And if you guys want to join in on FPL community, let us know down below, and we'll make sure to start one ASAP. Thank you guys for watching.
drop in a comment. Drop in a comment. Make sure
Yeah.
you drop in a comment.
Thank you
Bye.
guys for watching. See you guys.